Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Kayla Lords.
John Brownstone.
Of Loving BDSM. Back for something a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's not a 5 things you need to know.
No.
It's a 3 things.
Yeah.
It's a 3 tips. It's a tips. We're talking about our kinky goals.
Yeah.
We're talking about not goal setting. We've actually talked about that before. We're talking about actually reaching your kinky goals.
Yeah.
Using very vanilla tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a crossover between the kink world and the non-kink
A
world.
little overlap.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay. So it's a new year. It's our first little video of 2020.
Yeah.
If you are anything like me, you might be in your either resolutions. We don't do resolutions.
No,
we
do
goals. But your goal achieving phase, you decided what you want 2020 to look like. You're going after it. And in the world that I sort of inhabit, I see there's tons of information out there. How to have a journal, how to set goals, SMART goals versus these goals. And it's all in a non-kinky, what I always call vanilla sense. Vanilla is not pejorative. I just mean that to me not kinky. But just like every other part of life can kind of intersect where the things that work in our vanilla life can work in kink life, to me this is no different. So we have talked about setting goals in your kinky life before. We did a live stream podcast episode about that. It will be linked above and below somehow. If you have not listened to that or watched that in the past, to me, anything you decide you want to do as a kinkster, whether that's alone, a skill you want to learn or something you want to do with a partner, that's a goal. We might not, we don't call it that. We don't use that language, but it's a goal.
Right.
You want to try impact play. You want to try bondage. You want to go from your current relationship to 24/7. You just set a goal, even if you don't call it that. So whether you call them goals or these are just the kinky things you want to accomplish in the future, I have some thoughts because I am right in the middle of a goal getting, goal achieving. 3 thoughts on how to use very vanilla techniques to achieve your kinky goals. Okay.
Are we ready?
Are we ever?
Number 1, write it down.
So that you can do this in any way that works for you. I have, to be honest, 4 planners. 4 planners this year. And I'm a pen and paper kind of person. Now, you can use a note-taking app. You can use a to-do app. You can use the notes thing on your phone or a tablet. You can use a Word doc. Or if you are like me and you have a bullet journal, you can use a bullet journal. You can use your passion planner. You can use your circle planner. Whatever planner you've got. The whole point, I think, is writing it down makes it real.
Yes, absolutely. I use Google Docs. Works very well for me. And I can access it anywhere.
Yes. I love Google Docs for that.
There's a lot of apps. You mentioned the apps. There's apps like Trello. There's Evernote. Things like those. Those 2 you can use and take anywhere.
Exactly. And then if you don't want it to be too tied to your vanilla life, totally get that. You can, if you are the type to be intrigued by or want a contract, your contract can count as writing it down. A lot of times people think once they've put together a DS or a BDSM contract that they have to immediately implement all of those things all at once. We actually think that is not a good idea. And that you should go much, much slower. I hate the word patience, but that applies here. We have talked about that before. Link above and below. If you need to be reminded about patience. But you can use your contract, if you choose to have one, to write down the things you're trying to achieve. And instead of looking at it as a document that this is what we are doing right now, this is what we are working towards. In that case, you can create a Google Doc. You can get a pen and paper. You can actually purchase a formal one through someplace like BDSMcontracts.org. If you do that, we have a coupon code, LovingBDSM, save some money. But you don't even have to do that. But if you have a contract, consider those your goals. Because very, very few of us are going to sign the contract on Monday and by Tuesday be implementing every single word of it.
True. Number 2, set a deadline.
So this is a little bit... I caution against hard and fast deadlines because they can, for some of us, cause more stress than they're worth. But I do think it's worth setting deadlines to say, by this time, we would like to be here. So this can work in a couple of different ways.
Yeah.
If you're learning a new skill, set the deadline that every month you will do something towards that skill.
Right. You set... You look at the main goal that you're trying to reach, and you set mini steps that will lead you to your big goal.
Right. So let's say it's bondage. You give yourself 6 months to try a specific scene with your partner. Well, in the first month, maybe you read some information online, watch a few YouTube videos. In the second month, maybe you go to a workshop. In the third month, you go to a demo. In the fourth month, you do something else. You practice a self-tie. The 5th month, maybe you practice a knot. By the 6th month, hopefully you've done all those little things and you're at a place you're like, okay, I'm ready. The thing I like to caution about with a deadline, because they can be such a point of contention and stress for some people, is that you have not failed if you get to that deadline and you're not ready. These are your goals under your control. Move the deadline. Oh, I thought I'd be ready in 6 months. I really need a couple more months. It is better to take your time and go slowly than to force yourself to try something because you put an arbitrary date on the calendar. But having a date or a timeline that you're working towards will, for some of us, spur us into action.
That's
and
true.
make it easier to move forward. If you say, someday I'm going to do this, well, that tells you nothing. It's not very specific.
Right.
If you say, by the end of the year, but it's really 10 different steps that it takes to learn it, then you might be in October trying to cram a bunch of information into a very short amount of time. So give yourself a deadline, and then, yes, I agree completely, reverse engineer what it's going to take to reach that goal, and then use that timeline to decide when you're going to do what to get you to that goal.
Number 3, stack your habits.
The other way some people refer to this is habit stacking. I found that I was accidentally doing this before I ever heard the term. I do not know who originated the term, but it literally means stack your habits one on top of each other. Not all of them at once, but group like things together or group things together in ways that make sense to your life. So I'm going to give you a very vanilla example of how I've been doing this. For 2020, I wanted to get back into a regular gym routine. Not that I wanted to do a whole bunch of wild work and like get ripped. I just wanted to get back into the routine of going regularly, doing a little bit of walking on the treadmill, being very gentle with my body, but just going. That's half the battle. And it is hard for me, mental thing right now, because it's not a routine, to just pick up and go in the middle of the day, even though I could if I wanted to. But it is very easy for me to say, oh, I've just taken the kids to school. I'm in the car. It's a 5-minute drive. After I've dropped the kids off at school, I'm going to go to the gym. That is me stacking 2 habits, 2 actions. After I drop the kids off, which that's my thing to do Monday through Friday during the school year, I attach going to the gym after it. It makes it a little bit less effortful. It makes it easier to do. It pairs one action that I'm already doing with another action that I don't have a habit of doing yet and sticks them together, and I have less that I have to think about. Now, what does this mean when summer break arrives? I'm going to have to do something different. But for right now, for developing the habit and getting used to going to the gym and enjoying going to the gym, this is the easiest method for me. In terms of kink, I think of the first thought that comes to mind are submissive partners who are trying to learn a new habit, a thing they're going to do every day or in specific situations for their dominance. So let's use a fairly common one. I know a lot of submissives, they get home from their vanilla job and they do a certain task. Maybe they put their collar on. Maybe they get naked. Maybe they do a certain activity. It is really easy when you're starting a new habit to forget to let all of your other routines, because all a habit is your brain on autopilot.
True.
Okay. You have already taught yourself what you're supposed to do. So when you try and start a new habit, you're having to break that old habit to start this new one. And so your brain can go on autopilot and you're like, oh, well, when I come home from work, I put my stuff down, I go to the kitchen, I do this. And you have completely forgotten your new step in between of what you're supposed to do next. So stack your habits. Do you always go to the bedroom when you get home to put something away? Make sure your collar is sitting right there if that's what your task is. Do you always do one thing in this room before you do that? Attach that space where you're going to be with the thing you're going to do. Put some like things together, or put one thing together you're already doing with a new thing. Another way I've seen habit stacking described is to put multiple habits together, new and existing, that make sense together. So in a kinky way, you know that you're going to send your submissive the good morning message every morning, maybe your long distance. That's what you do every morning already. Your next step will be to follow up on a task, because that is the new habit you as a dominant are trying to develop, that you're going to follow up better in 2020. Because guess what? These goals, these habits, these new things you're trying to do, not just for submissives.
Nope.
They're for dominants too. So if it helps you to remember, if it helps to make the new transition to the habit easier, put things together, things you're already doing with things you want to be doing, or group them, all the like items together. So maybe you've got a couple of things you do as a submissive or a dominant at the end of your day, but they've always been sort of straggled out. In your journal, in your calendar, on your phone, however you schedule yourself, put them all together in a timeline. From this time to this time, these are the things I'm doing. I'm going to stack those habits together. And I know that from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., I'm doing my kinky thing right there, because I've put it on the schedule. I've written it down.
There you go.
Set myself a deadline. I know what time it is, and I've put them all together. That is one way to stack your habits to reach your goals. The longer you do those things, the more you develop the habit.
And the easier it becomes.
Right. And then you might find you don't need to do that anymore, and you can shift and adjust. So we would love to know what other tricks you use to achieve your kinky goals. So comment down below with those. And also, what are your kinky goals for 2020? What is it that you want to learn, you want to do, you want to experience? Tell us in the comments below. Share with us. Because I might pick up a new goal of something I want to try. You
That's
never
right,
know.
too.
Oh, yeah, I'll take your goal and go, yeah, I'm going to do that. That sounds good. And sometimes I go, that sounds nice for them.
Always something new to learn.
Always something new to learn. So, once you've done that, once you've told us your goals, told us how you plan your goals, do you use a bullet journal? Do you use a physical paper planner? Do you use an app? What do you do for your goals? Tell me everything. That is what I want to know. Once you've done that, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel,
and hit the notification bell so you get notified when we upload new content.
Okay. And if you really, really like what we do, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/KaylaLords. Bye.
Bye.